Hi everyone, welcome to Byline. My name is Palesa Madumo, convener of the 2021 PRISM Awards. I am also your host for a very special 10-part series that is delving into our industry and having conversations with thought leaders on what is and is not working within our industry. Today I am very happy to be chatting to Pepe Marais, who is the Chief Creative Officer at Joe Public United. He's also the founding partner, chairman of One School at a Time, as well as an author. Hi, Pepe. Welcome to our conversation today, and congratulations on your second book, Growing Greatness, 20 Habits That Break Habits. Tell us a little bit about that book.
So it was an idea that came to me when I was almost dying on my sick bed of having flu. In 2019. This was pre-COVID.
Yeah, I was about to
pre-COVID,
say,
so
yes.
I didn't know the severity of real, proper
Yes.
virus. But as you know, man flu is a very terrible thing to have.
It is.
And I had this idea to write a book on habits because habits profoundly changed my life. And I thought I'll interview 20 smokers and I'll time their smoking speed, and then I'll time their reading speed, and I'll write each of them a chapter on habits, and I'll also, in the interviews with them, I asked them what their limiting habits were. So with them sharing their limiting habit, I wrote the chapter on the liberating habits. And 20 chapters, 20 habits, 20 people, and they all tie into the habits that I struggled with through my life.
Really? And I mean, you have an advertising background, so how did that sort of fit into what you were planning to write about?
So I discovered purpose for my life in 2007, which is, you know, in advertising, we like second used car salespeople, second-hand used car sales. Often people say that. We laugh about it, you know, and we sell things. So you go like, well, what's so noble in that? You know, I don't drink, but I sell beer.
Yes.
And I'm a vegan, but I sell chicken licken.
Yes.
So what are you
my
doing?
Favorite.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't know what it tastes like, but I love the brand.
At least you know what it smells like.
I do.
It smells delish, right?
It smells very delicious. Don't start. You're gonna kick me back to where I was. But so my advertising background is more mixed with purpose, bringing purpose into business, making our business purpose-driven. How do we do work that actually adds more meaning to people's lives and just sell products? And I suppose my love for copy also comes out of advertising. So I love copywriting. I mean, English is not my first language.
Yes.
But because I, in my job, direct copywriters and copy for commercials, I love copy. I've been blogging for many years, which I stopped years ago.
Oh, no.
And that sort of went into my first book.
Okay.
So it's linked, you know,
Yes.
copywriting, music, it's all linked to advertising.
Oh, fantastic. I love what you said about purpose. Let's talk a little bit about Joe Public and how you've managed to trickle purpose into the work that you do. Because I think sometimes, particularly in your industry, like you say, it's about selling and it's about identifying the consumer and sort of bombarding them with messages to make sure they buy stuff.
Yeah.
How do you drive purpose down to the youngest creative in your agency?
So there's a beautiful saying. The saying goes, people don't buy what you're selling, they buy what you believe in. And very interestingly, I think businesses believe they're in business to make money.
Yes.
But when you've started a business from scratch, like we have, myself and Gareth, and then later on more partners joined us. When you start something from scratch, you start realizing a business is like a child. You're bringing up this little thing that's a creation of your own mind, and it's almost not you, it's something else. It's got its own little spirit. And then we went through bankruptcy in 2008, 2009. We pretty much had to restart the business from scratch. So I think when as a person you experience that, the level that I experienced it, I started searching for something more than just the act of creativity and making ads.
Absolutely.
So what are we doing here beyond the product and the service and the making of money? And I think when we discovered that insight of why the business exists, it profoundly shifted Joe Public. It really came out of the blocks and started adding more value. It's got a long way more to go. I mean, it's not close to where it's going to be. We can see it. There's so much stretch in the business. But I think that notion of having a bigger belief in the company, something greater than just advertising, connects younger people to the business. Because I think younger people want more meaning in their life. They don't just want a paycheck. So,
absolutely. I think things have changed a lot towards that purpose. You know, with all the challenges we face globally, we've all started to look at, okay, what is life really about, and what role do I have to play in life? So I think that's very important. And speaking of which, tell us a little bit about, you know, your transformation journey from a management perspective. I'm sure that's also linked to purpose.
100%.
And just why did you decide to do it?
So it's such a, look, it's a frank conversation. I would love to be able to see our journey outside of the context of this government scorecard.
Yes.
Because there is obviously that directive as well. But what I always find interesting, when we were still a small business, we already employed Kolisa Jesana and Kutala Gala like 15 years ago.
Yes.
And that wasn't driven by having to transform. It was driven more by the sort of knowledge that diversity is more creative. So back then we had two Xhosas, an Afrikaans and an English and a French and a Polish guy. So we had this diverse bunch of people. And I think it affected our creativity.
Absolutely.
So they came across our path before transformation became a mandate by government. And then in 2010, our purpose for the business is growth, to be the fertile soil that grows our people, our clients, and our country. So the three strategic pillars is the mandate of the reason this business exists is to grow people, because the better our people, the better our product.
Absolutely.
The better our product, the better service to our clients, the more we can assist them to grow. And if we do all of that, we can grow our country. And I think I would like to believe, and we'll never know the truth, because of course there's pressure from the scorecard as well. But I'd like to believe it's in line with growth of our country. If our purpose as a business is growth of our country, then transformation is natural. And hence, and they've been with us for 15 years, so the idea of bringing them into equity in the business was natural. It wasn't unnatural. And I think they've earned that right into equity in the business. It's not like lip service. And it's new. I mean, it's quite a thing to be in charge of a business now. So they're young in their positions, but they're pretty old in the business.
Yes, exactly. So they understand it, and they're part of the
growth.
Absolutely.
They joined when we were 30 people.
Sure.
And, we're over 200 now. So
fantastic.
They've been part of this growth journey.
Fantastic. And then, how do you impart your skills and your experience as an entrepreneur, particularly to them? And there's always conversations about a thin line between sort of empowering people and overpowering people. And I'm sure in your journey you've wanted to impart lessons that you've learned, or sort of stop people from making mistakes. How do you do that with a balance?
I think it's a good question. It's one of the toughest things. I think it's very difficult to impart entrepreneurial spirit. It's almost like trying to be a parent without having a child, or having knowledge of what it's like to be a parent without having a child. Yes. So I think in the absence of really, Gareth's wife gave birth when we were on William Nicol at 9 o'clock at night, busy working.
Wow.
The first 3-4 years we worked 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was insane.
Yeah.
It's just a superhuman effort, and then losing the business. All those things are so deep in our psyche, you can't really hand that experience over. So I think it's not about necessarily teaching people to be entrepreneurial. It's more honoring people for what they bring.
Absolutely.
So if I just look at our creative partnerships, so me and Kolisa are actually creative partners. It's not I'm the boss and he's the second. We are equal. I mean, in the hierarchy, I'm higher up because I'm a founder, but in operationally and in our opinions, we're equal.
Fantastic.
So I might bring experience in terms of business mindedness, and I might bring experience in terms of conceptual thinking, and he'll bring market insight. So we're really shaping our work to be more South African. And that's a huge part of his value that he brings. You know, there's no way. I mean, if you look at my background, where I come from, 52-year-old white male.
There's only so much you can bring to the table when it comes to that.
So I don't think it's about imparting. It's growing people to get to true ownership. You know, we have sleepless nights and you worry about your people. And I think they're already there. And then it's about identifying what's the superpower of each of the people, and let them bring that to the table. So I might bring my entrepreneurial spirit and my drive and my vision, and every other person brings something else unique.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let's talk about the work that you do. The fabulous campaigns. The last one I saw was actually the Christmas Carol campaign that was done at the airport or something like that. And then also recently you've done a gender empowerment advert with Celsi. Tell us about your work and why it actually makes such a huge impact, because it really does.
Diversity is the first thing that comes to mind. You know, it's very difficult. It's been a journey to transform our creative department. So I work... one of my sideline endeavours, actually a Joe Public initiative, is one school at a time.
Yes.
We work with the 2 township schools. And it's so fascinating how far away the idea of an art form as a career is in the minds of the parents of children in our country. You know, so the top driver is, I want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
In a country like South Africa.
That's what everyone wants to be. And so it's been very difficult to get... People always look at our industry and say, lack of transformation. I'm going, it's not that easy. I mean, Collie's been part of this journey for 15 years. And together we've struggled to transform to the level we'd like to transform. But we've got a very diverse department now. So I think the first thing is our department's diverse. So the thinking and the insights are very in touch with the market. And then we're driving consciously. Not to be exclusively Black South African, but to be inclusive, truly inclusive, to almost reflect our population as much as possible. And the work's starting to show that, and it's an awesome experience to put work out there, and then to see on the social sphere, I mean, 3,000 people commenting on an ad. It's like insane.
It is insane, and it's fascinating to hear you describe the amount of work you've put into actually create this department. Because I think when we see the sort of the end game or what comes out at the end of that, we're like, oh my gosh, Joe Public's amazing, they're so great. But I want you to talk a little bit about some of the challenges, you know, that you faced putting that together, because it must have been really hard work, you know, to firstly bring diversity and then make it flow together, because it's not that simple always to put people together and sort of say, okay, get along and produce great work. What are some of the key challenges, especially for those people who are starting up now? What would be your advice?
So the first thing is, I would never be able to say, I created this. This is a complete, you know, it takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Beautiful African saying, but it takes a village to raise a proper business. If you want to raise a sustainable business, I think on your own is not a concept that resonates with me. We're a team of 10 people and even deeper that's busy co-creating something. And it is hard work. So for example, I mean, we are so complex as human beings, and we all have our wounds. You know? Whether you male, female, whatever race you're from, you've got your wounds.
Exactly.
And those wounds play themselves out. And I think one of the massive insights on our transformation journey has been, I personally thought when we get there and it's in place, things will become easier. But it's become more difficult, because now for the first time, people are truly empowered to have a voice. You know, if you are authentically at the boardroom table, then you now can really start giving your voice. And I might sit there and go, but why haven't you said this 5 years ago? And get irritated by that. And So it's a very, very tough journey, but nothing that's worthwhile is easy. And I wish people will learn and understand that in our country, that if you want something truly worthwhile, it's hard work.
It is.
And a lot of honesty. I've got an amazing relationship with Palesa.
Yes.
In the last 2 weeks, we like constantly talking about, like, how do we create unity between us?
Yes.
So that we create almost our country, starting within our business.
Fantastic.
And it takes honest conversation, and you need to be able to disagree and say, well, I don't agree with you.
Yes, and for it to be okay.
And for it to be okay. And that's quite a safe space. So I would say another place is to create a safe space.
Fantastic.
And we're working on creating a safe space. We maybe not exactly where we should be, it's a journey. But yeah, it's a long way from where we started, to quote Martin Luther.
Yeah, yes. Let's talk about some old advertising habits and how they are still playing up in today's world. What are a few that you know that you feel that should definitely be cut off or sort of transitioned into other habits?
The first one that comes up is stereotyping.
Yes.
And also, you know, before I even go there, let's acknowledge that probably 95% of all advertising in South Africa is really terrible, just in terms of the caliber of it. I mean, if you had to drive from here to Bryanston and try and see any piece of outdoor that's actually resonates, if you switch on the television and if you watch commercials, how much of that work actually resonates? There's so little
I actually haven't thought about that in a while, like where you've seen an ad and you
go like, wow,
really feel excited about it.
You can
That's
tell
so true.
people, geez, did you see this amazing Netbank commercial? Blew me away. You don't see
That's
this.
true. And also, you know what's so dangerous about that is that it becomes part of life.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I've just thought about that now, it's like, oh, I've become quite used to mediocre communication or advertising.
And it's almost I think it's a bit of a societal thing. I don't think it's just South Africa. I think there's a lack of general excellence in general in the world we live in. But specifically, so before I struggle sometimes to get to that narrative which you're prompting without addressing, well, let's first look at the quality of
what's
the advertising
happening now.
Before we even look at, you know, if I look, sometimes I find our soapies on television is higher quality than our advertising. And we should compete against that, because when the consumers goes into ad break, you want to keep them there because you want to entertain them with your advertising.
Exactly.
So there's a big narrative that must happen there, and I think we're driving to change that as an agency. We're driving to bring back creativity to our industry. But at the same time, we want our work to be representative of our market, and that often depends on what brand we work with.
Yes.
You know, and then secondly, we want it to be resonant, so it needs insight, and we want it to be inspiring. So yes, we sell product, but if I take Chicken Licken as an example, we're always selling a product through our commercials.
Yes.
But we're also the back narrative of our stories is to show South Africans that we are great. You know, when we did Big John and the guy who discovered Europe, and the ad was pulled wrongfully in my view, because it was not making a mockery of colonization. It was just telling a story of an African guy that explored and discovered Europe. But that's to show that we can do things. You know, we sent Shabalala to space.
Yes.
You know, so we do. We built the AI.
Yes.
So I think we're using the brand to inspire South Africans, and I think consumers are resonating with that.
Absolutely. They definitely are. And I think the beauty is that when a consumer doesn't think of it as an advert, I think that is where the magic lies. You just think of it as an experience. And I think that's really how you engage with some of the work that your agency is bringing out.
100%. And I'll just give you a quick it's fascinating. Also, it is a journey. So it's as much as a transformation journey in terms of our race and color and gender in this country, and be representative, male, female. That's one journey. But it's also for us a transformation of the quality of work that we do. So coming from really, we call it wallpaper, almost putting billions of rands behind work that in my view does not add value to the brand. And then to walk that journey with our clients. I mean, we did a piece of work for Nedbank that won a Grand Prix last year at Lurie's. But it's not about the award. That piece of work, for the money behind that piece of work, worked 100 times better than anything else we ever did for the bank. And we're busy building on that now. So it's a journey with our clients as well, because without great clients, we're nothing.
Exactly.
You can do nothing.
Exactly.
So we're fortunate we've got a few clients that's buying into this journey, almost pushing us into this journey, some of them.
Fantastic relationship to have. Yeah. I mean, I think that client-agents relationship is one that takes a long time to build. And once you have it, it's quite important to hold on to it in a healthy way.
100% right.
Yeah. What would you say is a way in which people can get that magic right? I just am thinking about what it's like to walk into Joe Public as an employee or as part of a team or as a client even. Without giving away all your trade secrets, but
I'm open source.
Oh, fabulous!
I'm open source.
So, what would you say is that sprinkle? That people really need to sprinkle over their thinking, particularly what you said about our country, where we're going, the standard of advertising, all of that stuff.
So when you mentioned Joe, and at the moment it's just a big empty shell in Bryanston,
yes,
because everyone's working remotely for the last year.
How's that been going, by the way?
I mean, look, it's a tough time for people, so I don't want to be too positive about COVID-19. People that work for us have lost family members, so it's a really tough time. I think single people, very difficult to work from home.
But both. I think a lot of people have experienced all kinds of challenges.
It's not, so it's been, but by and large, our people have been incredible.
Fantastic.
I mean, incredible. The delivery to our clients, everything has been exceptional.
Fantastic.
So it's been quite an experience, but the thing that I miss...
It's been a test of your culture.
It's been a test of the culture. The culture stood, and culture is a very good word to use, culture. It is a test of our culture, but I miss that. You said if you walk into our building in any year pre-COVID, and we'll see what happens in the future still, you'll feel the energy. There is a buzz in that building that excites me to get there on Monday mornings.
Fantastic.
So, and I don't think, I know for a fact, I'm cutting I think out of my vocabulary.
Oh, great.
Because I think it sounds like I'm second guessing myself.
Exactly.
I know for a fact it's purpose. So, and this insight, because even on a human level, human being, us, individualistic, we're born and we get given a name by our parents. And we're not conscious that in our unconscious, we were given a separate name, a one-worded name by whatever this great big thing is that we live in, be it God or the universe or whatever your religion is, but it's beyond religion, it's spiritual. And we're never conscious of that, so we can't actually plan properly. We can't say, okay, this is my purpose, and hence I'm going to write a 25-year plan. And I found the same thing in business. Because once we defined a purpose for the business, so Joe is the business's human name, we gave birth to this business and we gave it its name. My name is Joe. I like to think maybe it's a unisex name. But I suppose it's a boy, because we were two guys that started it. But it is kind of like Joe. And it wants to make advertising for the man on the street, which is why it's called Joe Public. But Joe, and then the spiritual name of the business is Growth. And I think that obsession with truly interested in human growth excites people. I don't think people, a lot of people see now how much it's grown our environment. People come in and they grow like this because that's what we focus on. We've got top creatives in the country at the moment on a creative director's level, copywriter level, art director level. Tsepo Tomahole, top writer. Zamani's like a top art director, like number one in the industry, and I know where they came from. And of course, a big part of it is their talent, but a big part of it is the culture and the environment. And it's like the soil and they're the plants. So
Fantastic.
So it's amazing. So I think fundamental, if you want a healthy, sustainable business that is abundant, that thrives and not just survive, then start with purpose.
Love that. On that note, thank you very much, Pepe, for joining us.
Awesome.
And for sharing your wisdom. I think it's always important to speak to people, take a break from our busy lives, and just get a sense of, what's happening, what's happening with people.
Brilliant. And thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this episode of Byline Pepe Marais. You can follow the PRISM Awards on Twitter on @the_PRISM Awards. Walt Disney once said, all of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Goodbye.